good evening or good morning, wherever you are today. And thank you for joining the live stream. And it's going to be a quiet one, not as I actually expected. But anyway, to cut a long story short, it's Camaro's birthday today. So naturally, order of magnitude cannot be on. So it is just, yeah, it's just yours truly. But anyway, the first thing that I want to talk about tonight, well, it's tonight where I am. So anyway, I don't even know what to talk about at the moment. I'm just like, I've been having a bit of a busy day, I guess you could put it that way. And to sum it up, I've had imbeciles is the only way that I can refer to them, who, I don't know what it is with people. I seriously can't fathom the logic. But anyway, to cut a long story short, I'm going to just put this out. The video that I put up last year, and I know this is like starting on a sour note, the video that I put up last year, which subtitled Mr. Huff's video on spirits throwing a plate at him, it has attracted quite a bit of attention lately, and some people have actually finally woken up to the fact that it was a staged thing, obviously, because given the fact that this is a 6 foot tall guy and he's hasn't got short legs from when I last saw, but what people seem to forget and is that with 6 foot people, their stretch, when they stretch their leg and when they stretch their torso with their leg attached, can knock down things, especially when they're standing on the side of a bed. Now, how anyone can't work that out is beyond me. Another thing that I will mention is that we all know that looking through any type of camera, things appear further away than what they are. So naturally, as he's showing a distance of the chest of or the table beside the bed, it looks further away because naturally you're looking through a camera. But he was standing at the side of the bed, and I am getting so sick of stressing that the actual reason for putting that video up was not because I hate the guy. I don't know him to hate him. I dislike the fact that here he is saying that they threw a plate at him. They clearly did not throw a plate at him, or it would have hit him. The plate was knocked down. And in the video which he puts is 100% spirit communication. 100%, it's always 100%, is getting ignored. That here are these obvious signs of these voices coming through his own spirit box, which he said was 100% real spirit contact. And people just soak it up. They really soak it up as if it is the begin and end all that he really was attacked. Now, I'm wondering, and this is my theory on it, given the fact that ever since that, Mr. Huff has been attacked by spirits, maybe he has. Who's to say he hasn't? I certainly wasn't there. No one else was there. But it all seemed to start from that plate throwing thing. And if he had ticked off enough spirits, the word soon gets around, if you know what I mean. So my theory on this is, one, if anyone doubts that the subtitles that I put in there are false, I challenge them to sit with a recorder and record that video for themselves and slow down on playback the responses that are coming through that spirit box. Now, let's face it, there's a lot of times on any spirit app or device you're going to get rubbish come through. I'm the first one to say that. There are times where you will have intelligent conversations come back, responses. But another thing that really irks me, and I've got to say it, otherwise I'm going to explode, is when you've got the conversation being led by the spirit box. It's not being led by him. It's being led by the spirit box. So if it comes through like, puppy. Yes, there's my puppy dog. Do you like my puppy dog? You know, and then it will be chopped. And then you'll see some other thing come up. And this constant cutting through his videos. I would never have made this comment in any of my live streams about him because I always try to ignore it. I always try to avoid the topic. I have even gone as far as there was once I did put a rant video out and I thought, what's the point? I'm just going to let the video do the talking. I'm going to let people judge for themselves. I will put the evidence out and they can take it whichever way they please. If they want to hear what is being said and they even want to shut their eyes when they're listening back to those replies and see whether my subtitles match what's being said, then go for it. If they choose not to and they want to completely ignore it and call me a hater, which was, after all, the word that was given to people who debated Huff by Huff. It wasn't created by anyone else. It was Huff saying they're haters, they're picking on me, blah, blah, blah. Please do something to stop them, whatever. No one would have said anything in the first place if he didn't diss so many people. He basically went, and I'm not trying, please, before anyone says anything or puts up any posts, please hear me out, because I'm to stir up anything. I'm just responding on a live stream because I have a video up outlining what is being said in that video. Particularly, it is an old video. Let's be honest. It's an old video. It's not a current one. Hopefully, he has changed his ways and he's seen the light and he is no longer accusing spirit of doing things they're not. But I haven't watched any of his latest videos because I really just can't handle it, especially after that. I'd rather not see it. That way I'm not seeing what's going on. I can't get upset about it. But that particular video, because of the fact that I put it up to let people make a decision for themselves, I have been attacked verbally by many people. And look, I can understand you defending the guy if you are a devout follower of him. It would be absolutely wonderful if people could do that, you know, who are devout followers of me, but I wouldn't expect people to do that because it's nobody's business. It is really nobody's business, but I will always defend the underdog. And the underdog here is not you, it's not me, it's not Tom, Dick, or Harry. It is the spirits. And it's like they have a voice, but their voice isn't being heard. It's what you are told is being said that is what you have to accept. And I ask everybody who is watching his videos, please just listen. Do yourself a favor, and this even goes with any video out there. Record it. Record it on like a recorder or whatever, and play it back for yourself and ask yourself, is this really being said? You have you're born with a brain, use it. You are born with the intelligence to decipher and not be told what to believe. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm giving you an option. Listen to what is being said and make a decision for yourself, or continue to close your eyes and pretend it's not happening and look at it as only a source of entertainment, because in the end, that could be one of your relatives reaching out. And how would you feel if it's not Huff, but it's somebody else who is saying they're saying one thing and they're saying something completely the opposite? I would be absolutely devastated if that were my grandmother or my aunt or my mother or my father, and someone is putting up that they threw a plate at him, or they did this or they did that. And that is not what's happening. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's like everyone has completely shut out the fact that he is 6 foot tall. He's actually stated that in one of his videos at one stage there, where he did say, I'm 6 foot tall, blah, blah, blah. He towers over Debbie. Everyone can see that. And with other people around, he's quite tall. He's not exactly a short guy. So in that respect, what does it take? And everyone knows, even a short person about 5 foot or 5'4" can always stretch themselves out a little further, because we have limbs and our limbs extend. If you put your arms out, they say that from fingertip to fingertip, that's how tall you are. Okay, so that's supposed to be, what I have heard. Whether I'm wrong, whether I've heard wrong, that's up to someone to debate that. But I don't know. I don't know that. But he's not. The point that I'm making is he's not a midget. And no offense to any midgets out there, he's not a midget. He doesn't have a long torso and short legs that can't lift up. I mean, seriously, the guy can stretch his legs out. If he were on the end of the bed in that video, right at the end of the bed, with that drawer facing him, and it happened to be that plate came flying off that table beside the bed, and he's right at the end of the bed, around the end of the bed, literally, then I would say, yeah, there's something there. But he took 2 steps to get to the table. You count them in the video. 1, 2. He's at the table, and he says he's 6 feet away. No, he wasn't 6 feet away. The bed might be long, and the bed may be, about 6 foot long, but he certainly was right on the side of the bed. He was not down the other end of the bed. That was at least 1.5 feet from the edge of the bed, from the end of the bed towards the middle part of the bed. So if you watch that video, you will notice a temporary lack of concentration on where he's filming, because the camera shakes a fraction and it seems to move over to the right, which is where the actual table is. Now, in that fraction of a lack of concentration there, it's not really focused on the spirit box. It's moving, it's motioning. And I used to do photography, and this is a photographer, a professional photographer, mind you, and he can't have a steady hand on that. It would take nothing with a small handheld camera to hold the camera there, extend the arm, lean over, either move the plate with his hand or with his foot, and let's face it, he had socks on. So what would it take to extend the leg, stretch the torso, extend the leg, and move the plate over, and then with the tip of your toes, knock the plate on the floor? The plate was not thrown. It basically landed right in front of that table. So a plate that is thrown, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I was under the impression that to throw something meant it projectiled at the person. Was it at him, or was it in front of the chest of drawers or the table, whatever it is, bedside table. You tell me. And I challenge anyone who, if you're a 6 foot tall guy, if you're a 5'8", if you're a 5'6", I want to see some videos out there debunking this. I want to see a person on the side of their bed, not right at the very end of the bed. I want you to try to recreate this thing, because I am 150%, just like the prize giveaway tonight. I'm 150% absolutely, positively sure that if you try to recreate this and you wear a pair of socks and you have a little handheld camera in your hand, you can easily extend yourself and then extend your torso and your leg to knock down a plate sitting on the bedside table. I challenge you to do it. And I want to see the video links put down underneath this video. Feel free to do it. If you can prove me wrong, God, what will I do? I don't know what to do. But the thing is, I am that confident that you will find it is easy to do. Unless, as I said, unless his legs don't lift that high, he would have to literally have one of these long torsos and very short legs to be able to not lift up. I mean, seriously, I can't believe people would be that sucked into that. And then you listen carefully when he says, who moved that? Who pushed the plate? No, it wasn't pushed. Who threw the plate? And the voice comes over his own spirit box and he's put question marks there. Pay attention to that. I want you to record that bit where it's got the 2 question marks after he says, who did that, or who pushed that, or who threw that plate. And the question marks is what I want you to play slowly. And it says, it's a male voice saying, why do you lie? What? Not, it was me, or it was the devil, or anything like that. It's, why do you lie? And honestly, I'm just at this point, seriously, I have had so many people, and I'm going to use the word which I'm not a swearer, but I am over this. I am really sick to death of people coming at me saying I'm a hater because of the fact that I pointed something out which is so obviously, it's blatant, it's obvious, it is like, I mean, a blind man can see it because all he's got to do is listen. And seriously, to say that did not happen, these are the things. I've even had people write on there, I wish you would go in there and have a look at his other videos. Well, we all know what happened to some other people who did that. They were proving beyond a shadow of a doubt what he was doing, and the fact that he was lying, and that he was, I mean, he's got a pattern, and how anyone cannot see the pattern. He gets attacked. I've never known a person so holy and who is so connected with angels to be attacked like he is. I mean, I'm 58, and in all my years, I have not one single occasion, not once, been attacked. Maybe I'm just lucky, but I have contact every single day. And if I was peeing off any spirits out there, I would be really pulled apart. Now, the question that I'm asking is, if he's so love and light and he only welcomes loving spirits to him and angels and stuff like that, and he's got the statue of Michael, and like, let's face it, in the Bible it says don't pray to graven images. That's number one. Maybe, I don't know, but I just think, seriously, this guy, if he's getting attacked, then it's by his own doing. It is not because of the fact that he's onto something. He is ticking off people on the other side. And I just can't even understand the people coming back to me. And don't worry, I'm nearly over this. I promise I'll go on to something else. But there's even people who are writing that he, what was it? He's the chosen one. And I don't know how many of you out there have heard of ASMR, but ASMR is actually a form of relaxation using trigger sounds and whispering sounds and softly spoken words. And at the moment, I'm raising my voice. This is like me yelling. And here is this guy. He's got this app. He's running it through. Let's face it, it's a guitar. It's a guitar pedal, for God's sake, or a guitar amp, whatever. It is not a damn portal. A portal is what brings spirits through, and it is an energy well. It is a form of natural, pure energy that spirits manifest to be able to come through. Now, it is not a damn speaker. Otherwise, every speaker in everybody's home would be a portal. Okay, calm down. And anyway, with let me just look at some of these comments. Yeah, I'm losing it. Well, anyway, in one of the ASMR things, there is play acting where they say, "You have been chosen. You are the chosen one to come and join us," and blah, 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 blah. And this is actually in one of those banks of the apps. And you've got to be careful. I mean, a really good one is where you've got word banks that are chopped up, completely chopped up. So it's like there's no real words coming through. It is like not even intelligible. If you were to play it just on its own without it being swept or anything like that, it would be unintelligible. I have done app reviews. I have done spirit box reviews. And let me put it this way. The Health app is not that good. They run shoutcasts for damn, shoutcast radio. Let me tell those who aren't familiar with it. It is owned by Anthony Sanchez. It is run by Anthony Sanchez. Anybody can have a damn radio station or program on this shoutcast thing, and they can be in their garage running this, and they can have topics on angels, on demons, on heaven, on hell, on any topic you can think of. And you've also got to ask another thing. Why is it so important to contact people within 24 hours, especially celebrities? Think about what's happening within the first 24 hours of a celebrity's passing. Now, I know this is all common sense, but I think some people need reminding out there of using their common sense, because in the first 24 to 48 hours, sometimes even a week, depending on how popular the celebrity is, all over the news, you are going to have clips of memories of the films or the songs or the interviews that this person had. And what are we going to have? We're going to have audio. And we are going to have their name mentioned. And this is why he says contact spirits or contact the dead within the first 24 hours or so. It's because they are hot property. It is, the chance of getting their name through is going to be almost 150% compared to any other time of the day or of the night or of the week or the year, because they're on, everyone's talking about them, they're the topic of the day. And it just makes me angry, because they're the real kind of contact. If you want to contact a celebrity and you're serious about it, do it years later, when no one is talking about these celebrities, when they're not on the news, when they're not, when it's not their anniversary either, because chances are there's going to be videos and things in memory of Robin Williams and so on. So I'm going to give a quick shout out to everybody. So I'm going to say hi to Whispers from Heaven, Rachel Jude, Liz Hall, and I'm not sure whether anyone else is there. I've just been like checking out some of the things that have been, debunking half paranormal. Debunking half paranormal is on. What a coincidence. Albert. Who else? Oh, crikeys. All right, so that's so far. But anyway, just to let everybody know, order of magnitude will not be on tonight because his little one is having her birthday. So I wouldn't expect him to be on naturally under those circumstances. So anyway, yeah, it was shocking in relation to Johnny Cash, especially saying that this man who was very devout in his belief to God was in huffs. I mean, people should turn their back on him then, when he was saying that Johnny Cash was in hell. And the thing that annoys me is, even me, with the chance of communicating with, say, and I haven't, but say I had connection with Johnny Cash, if he were in hell, there'd be no way I'd be able to get him out of hell. That is not something that we have control over. If a person is sent to hell, and I mean, who knows what happens in that respect? I have personally never asked, because I don't want to know about that. And even when I do readings for people, I don't want to know their business. I just pass on whatever comes through, and that's it. I don't feel it's my place to know a person's, ins and outs of their life type of thing. I will say, does that make sense? But that's about it. I don't say, tell me, about your private life or your business, and, I don't care for that. And this is what makes me angry with this guy and all the people that, I mean, I had one woman who actually wrote the other day, and she was at first, I mean, she was polite, don't get me wrong, she was polite. And she said, look, I watched your video, and I mean, all I did was subtitle and have a comment of, pay attention to this. This is what the spirits are saying. You've got to listen to them. They are basically screaming out, literally in this video, that he lied, that they did not throw anything at him, bottom line. And she said, I listened to your video, but I really don't, like, in so many, not so many words, but I really don't think he would do that. Like, why would he lie? And she wasn't mean, she wasn't nasty, she wasn't swearing at me. So of course I gave her respect back, and I just said, look, all I'm doing is outlining the words that are coming through. That's all I'm doing. I'm not saying don't believe what you want to believe. You're a grown adult. Everyone's big and ugly enough to make up their own decision at the end of the day. And on this, I'm not even telling people that you have to agree with me. If you want to agree with him, fine. But just know it's better to be listening. And if you can hear it with your own ears, and that goes for any type of video out there that is subtitled, even mine, you know, listen. And if you can listen and hear it with your own ears without even looking at the subtitles, and it is audible, like a spirit box, for example, and it's saying this, then if it matches what is being in the subtitles, then fine. But there are things that I believe Spirit deafened him to. And I believe that that was their way. And when I said warning in that video, and he said, what do you mean warning? What warning? I believe that in that video, because there was so much chopped out of it, he probably came across a few things he didn't want anybody to hear. But then the most of it, he didn't hear himself because they deafened him to it. And I believe Spirit can do that. If they want to get their voice out there and they want to reach people, there's going to be some that they will reach and some that they won't, because they'll be too stuck with, okay, well, that must be what they're saying because they've got it subtitled as that. It's like if you think about like different cultures and the translation is saying something completely different to whatever is being said. I've had people that are, you know, I used to go out with the Turkish guy and he would laugh at the subtitles because he would be saying that's not what they're saying, but they would put these subtitles as, you know, something else. So what's this? It's a big hard. All right, yeah. So anyway, so I don't want to bore you all, but this is the kind of day that I've had, and checking like the messages that have been popping up and coming through and saying that, you know, Huff is the chosen one and you're just jealous because he's the chosen one and you're not the chosen one. I don't want to be the chosen one. I mean, who wants to be chosen? I think it's pretty scary if you think you're the chosen one. But anyway, that's my opinion. But that chosen one actually came from a ASMR video. So I'll leave that there. But as I said, if you missed it, I challenge anyone who has watched that video on Huff and the Plate. Sounds like a story, you know, this kid's story, Huff and the Plate. He was on the side of the bed. If you want to play it back, just go back to the beginning of the bed. Go back to the beginning of the bed. Go back to the beginning of the video and get a brown paper bag because you're ready to throw up. There is obviously Huff standing on the side of the bed. He is not right at the other end of the bed where he's facing the bedside table. He is to the side of it. So with a 6 foot tall guy with long legs and a average size torso, which he can, you know, even stretch his arm out, it would take nothing to stretch out and knock a plate down with your foot. So I'm going to leave it there, but I want to see links to videos where people have shown that it's a physical impossibility to be on the side of a bed, stretch your foot out and your body, and not knock a plate down. Easy task. If you can't do it, then, you know, and you are the same height as Huff, and that would be interesting too. Any 6 foot tall guys who are slim build, you know, have a good extension of their leg. I mean, the guy's not paralyzed, he can move, and this is so clear. I mean, you'd have to be, I don't know, I can't find the words that are polite, and I don't want to say anything impolite because I'm not the kind to, You know how hard it is for me right now to hold back from saying something, and you're probably all sitting there saying, "Do it, Karen," but I'm not going to do it because I'm not like that. I just feel it's really important that people take a moment to think about the spirits and forget about the people. Think about if that was your mother or your father and someone was using them as a generator, if you want to call it that, to get attention and get subscribers and stuff like that to their videos because they had an incident where something fell off the side table and it wasn't thrown. Because at the end of the video, and it's casual, well, I'm going to turn it off now and I'm going to go to bed. I mean, if he was freaked out in that video so much as he said he was, that he's speechless, and that plate was there, I'm going to have to back it up, but I'm sure that plate was on the side of, overreacting. I mean, seriously, he knew the plate was there. He put the plate there unless he subconsciously didn't, or it may have been the other person who was in the room with him put the plate there. But he's saying, I have to back up the video, please. And he's going to have a look and see where that plate was. But he was so freaked out. He was, pointing at that plate. This plate was there. I'll have to back up the video, but it was there. And it was thrown at me. It just was thrown at me. And then he's putting up titles like Demon and stuff like that. Hi, Order. Happy birthday to Camaro. Yes. I know. I'm sorry. This is not, I don't know, maybe I'm possessed or something. Hey, that's a good excuse. That's why I'm doing this one. But anyway, yeah. So the bottom line is that you must listen carefully and you must question things. It's okay to question things. You're not going to get sent to hell if you question things, especially when it comes to anything to do with spirit. Question things. And even, look, in the Bible it says if you have a spirit, you must, I can't remember where, but someone pointed it out to me one day, and I think I did look it up, and it said something along the lines, you must question it and ask it, to prove itself, because it could be the devil in disguise, whatever the case. So, yes, that's right. That's what I mentioned earlier. And so I want to get off this topic because it's really chewing me up inside. It's not something I wanted to start this with today. And probably a good thing that you weren't on, Order, because you might have said something. But I could have used you to demonstrate stretching your leg out. So probably a good thing you weren't. Yeah. Yes, but it did. It says it clearly. Why do you lie? After he said who threw that plate or whatever, and he's got the question marks, and it says why do you lie? So that's why I'm saying if you record that bit when he says who threw the plate, and record that bit of what is said after that, just so you can decide for yourself. Record that bit, and if it doesn't say why do you lie, and you can tell me that it says something else and tell me what it says, then I'll give you $50. How's that? If you can tell me that that spirit is not saying through the spirit box, why do you lie? But it's really quick. It's like, why do you lie? And if you can prove to me it's not saying that, I'll give you $50. 50 Australian dollars from me to you. But you've got to prove it. You have to prove it. So, I mean, I have a lot of things to pay, but I will gladly give $50 to whoever can prove to me that in that video where Huff kicks down the plate, that voice when he says, who did that? And he's panning across the bed and he's got the question marks up. In that video that I've got up, you'll be able to see where I point that out. So if you watch Spirits Have the Last Word on Huff, the video, which is a copy of his, nothing's been changed except for the fact that I have put in the subtitles, then the plate challenge, that's right. If you can have a look at that. Actually, you know what? Let me do the honours and bring up that so you can hear it perhaps through this. I'm not sure whether, hold on, bear with me for a second. We have someone here. Oh yeah, we got this one saying, yeah, or a bunch of ding-dongs. He wasn't even near the plate. Or was it on? Or what it was on? He wasn't anywhere near it. He wasn't anywhere near that plate. Damn, he's got me. He wasn't, this guy can't lift his leg. He can't stretch. He is unable to, when he walks, he's like this. If ever you watched Seinfeld and Kramer's got those pants on really tight and he's walking and he can't bend or bend his legs. If you remember that one where he's wearing the jeans and he's walking like, you know, Frankenstein, I can understand Huff can't lift his leg. He can't stretch his leg out to knock down that plate because he was wearing those jeans that Kramer had on and his legs were stiff. I mean, you could tell the way he was walking. Oh my God, I am so wrong. I think I'm just going to quit now. That's it. Okay, I'm back. I'm not quitting because I know I'm right and I'm going to prove it. Let me prove it. Hang on a second. I know. My dog's even sighing. He's like, ah. Yeah, it's put quite a few of those little, where is it? Where are you? Bear with me. I can't believe I'm forcing myself to watch it. I'm forcing. I'm speechless and shocked. This is what I'm seeing in front of me. I'm speechless and shocked. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Hang on. Let me go to screen share. Hang on a second. Let's share this screen. Where are you? Hang on, where is it? Okay. Can you see that? I'm speechless. I'm speechless. All right, where? Okay. All right, now firstly, let me just show you. You know what, Margaret? I'm going to go. This comes from his own device. The next clip of it is interesting. In all his videos doing a spirit box session, he has only asked them to speak through the device. Yet he asks here, can you show yourself or make a noise? Why this video in particular? My thoughts are that this was because it was premeditated. Pay attention to the direction he pans the camera when asking. You got it. It's toward the plate. Now, I actually recommend when people are watching this, wear headphones, because the headphones, it is really clear what direction his voice is turning. And if you shut your eyes, you'll be able to hear that he's turning to the right because the sound moves over to the right. So here we go. This is...
Can you show yourself or make a noise?
See how he panned across? This is... I was a bit of a smarty pants here, right? Remember this.
Is there anyone here?
Now, did you see the cutting? This is another thing through this short video, which is only 7 minutes long. On mine, it says 9 minutes 21 because of the little inserts there. But this is like only 7 minutes long, and it's been chopped up to the hills.
Is there anyone here looking for over? Over.
Pay attention to the obviously lack of focus as the camera shakes while he is filming. Clearly he's stretching out his foot to keep the plate down. Also listen to what direction his voice goes through the headphones. Now you won't be able to hear it on here because of the fact that I have that also going through my mic, so that might not actually allow you to hear the direction. So I do recommend listening from the actual video itself.
Is there something that stops you from crossing over?
Look at them shaking and the way that the camera is actually motioning over to this way. It's going this way. It's shaking about. For someone who's actually just filming the spirit box and paying attention to the spirit box itself, notice he has no hand on the bed that you can see around this. He's not holding the spirit box. He's put it down. Why did he put it down? That's one thing you've got to ask too. Was it to give him more stretch? Was he changing hands at the time that shaking was going on? So let's have a look at this shaking again. Now, here he is, filming, changing hands, a lot of moving.
Is there something that holds you back? Something that holds you back. Can you tell me? What the?
Now, that's something I just didn't notice before, but there's actually a chop just before the plate falls. Watch this.
Can you tell me? What the hell was that?
Now remember, when you're filming anything through a camera, things look further away than they actually are. If you hold up a camera of any sort, things look further when they're a lot closer. Now look at the distance from where he's standing and here. That's the table. So you can't tell me that where he's standing about here, which would be where he was, and then he's, you know, when that fell, then he spins around to the side. I would say that this would have been where he was standing, and it would take nothing to stretch your leg out there. to knock the plate down. But, you know, who am I? I'm no expert. I'm not a, you know, I'm not doing anything scientific here, but that's why I'm saying if people go in and they can actually try to debunk this by standing on the side approximately 4 feet, which is what I would say would be here, because the bed itself would all, how long is the bed? About 5-6 feet. No, I wouldn't say 5 feet. Probably about 6 feet in length from head to end of, or head to foot of bed. I would say it'd be about 6 foot or so. So that being around here would mean that, and why, this is another thing too, wouldn't you expect the plate to be equivalent in distance as the actual paper towel? Because that paper towel seems to have been either stuck to his foot because it's gone towards him, but that has been knocked down in his direction, but clearly next to the table itself. Even if it fell off the table, it would spin a bit and flop. And that's another thing, that plate is empty, and yet it's not on the tray with all the other empty stuff. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but there's something else to think about.
This plate, I'm freaking out right now because this has never happened ever. This plate was right here, and if I back up the video, you'll probably see it. I totally am feeling it. Did somebody just do that? Who just did that, please? Who just did that, please?
Tell me what? Tell me what? Tell me what?
Please.
Tell me what? Tell me what?
There is that why do you lie? Now, that is clearly saying it. And those ones that say bless you afterwards, could it be that, you know, if we're looking at that as everything being 100% from the spirit box, that those were saying bless you to that spirit that said why do you lie so clearly that it was blatantly obvious that you could actually hear them say why do you lie? And saying bless you is like, bless you for saying it, because this guy is making a fool out of us. You do the, you know, you think about it from their perspective. If you've got somebody saying you're doing something and you don't have a leg to stand on, and everything they say is gospel and everyone is listening to them, and whatever they say, that is 100% proof that he's, I mean, I'm not saying in any way whatsoever he's not having contact. He certainly is having contact. But what he doesn't realize is that they're calling him out. So I'm going to play that bit again.
Tell me what? Tell me what?
And I'm going to stop it there. But at the end, he actually says very clearly, at the end, I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to go to bed. And he said in his own words on that thing that he was speechless. He was terrified, and yet he read casually. So I don't know. I don't know. But that's from his own video. Nothing on his video clips in that bit have I added any words. No audio overlays have been added to his video clips. I can assure you, you can go to his video and watch it for yourself, and you will see and hear exactly what I've put there. The only thing you won't see is where I have inserted my little antidotes, if you will. Pay attention to this coming up, and that they're saying that he did miss a lot of it. For someone who has the contact, I mean, in one minute he's saying he's not a medium, next minute he's a medium. I really think, you know, it's sad, because it's up to other people to point that out. But when we point it out, the sad thing is that you get labeled a hater because you're pointing out the obvious. And it's sad. I feel sorry, if anything, for the underdog, and the underdog is the spirit, because they're being ridiculed. They're being used like a sideshow circus. It is entertaining. Around the time when this was going on, he clearly was not putting out anything really interesting, and it's sad. I can't understand why anyone. It'd be like me putting a piece of string on something and pulling it, or making up a video that they're doing, you know, they're pulling something down because it's attention. You know, I mean, I could do all that kind of crap if I wanted to. I can't be bothered doing that. I won't put a video out every week about spirit, because there are times they don't want to interact. They don't want to do anything, and there's not always activity that is visible enough to be caught. So I don't know. I mean, you'll have activity, but you might get out of camera and you won't catch it. I mean, they're fast little buggers. But don't fall for that. Listen, believe your ears. That's what I say. You know, sometimes your eyes can also lie to you if you are being deceived by something in a video. We've all seen those ones where they have used an overlay and they've put a video clip over. I mean, look at those scary video. There's a channel on there called Scary Videos, and they're done by university students, like, and they make these like little overlay. What is it? You can tell it's actually a person, but they've used like the thing that it's sort of like, I can't even think of the word. I'm lost for the word, but they take someone help me. Where is it when they take the visibility level down? There's obviously someone in there. Not so much green screen, but they actually get the video, and let me just hang on, I'll try and find the name of it. What they do is they use this slider, adjust that opacity. That's it. It can adjust the opacity of that layered thing. And I saw this. I wish I had actually saved it on one of my favorites or something. I'm going to have to go looking for it. But they actually showed how people change the opacity, which is the visibility of a video that is overlaying on another video, and it looks ghostly. And this is the ones where they have it like it's, you know, they make those videos, and it's all about layers. And I don't know what kind of software they use, but apparently you can get software anywhere these days that does all that fancy stuff. I mean, the most I get to fancy is I've got what's it called, Movavi or Movavi video suite, and you can just record, and then you can like click and drag your text, and you can click and drag your your background filter thing. So it sort of like moves the background or makes like little tiny things floating across the screen type of thing, as in like words or flowers or stuff like that, which I haven't used that yet. You've probably seen the one where it looks like little star things in the intro, that sort of like looks like a lens flare or whatever. That is with that program. That's about as creative as I get. Anything that's like click and drag, that's me. And you just click the sound, you know, like for the sound file, you insert it in, and that's easy. I don't like complex things. But you apparently change the opacity, and you can have one video on top of another video in this thing. And from this guy that he showed me, I'm going to have to try and look it up. I'm going to definitely have to look that up and save it. And what I'll try and do, if I can find it again, I just can't remember what or how it came up. I think it was on one of those auto run things, because you know when you've got autoplay going on YouTube, and you're watching one thing and it goes on to something else, and before you know it, you're on the dark end of YouTube. And he was actually showing how he makes videos and how he makes also scary ones. And I think he was a school teacher, and how he made like this video for their school, and it was like to do with, you know, I can't remember what exactly it was, but I thought, well, that if that can be done, no doubt people can do that with ghosts, because he actually had that's right, it was like a side-by-side video. And if you see some of the videos out there, like with ASMR, a person can, like, they have one side of the screen and they're on one side of the screen, and then they're on another side, and then they just blend the two videos so that they're, you know, like stitched together in the middle or whatever. And if you were increasing or decreasing the opacity on one would look almost near invisible. I'm going to try that. I'm going to see if I can do that. But I just as an experiment, because like with my videos, I don't have anything, and you would know, whoever has followed any of my videos, you would see not one single video have I got spirit moving anything, because I don't capture anything like that. And to be honest with you, I don't see spirit moving a lot of things around. There was one thing that I saw moved, and that was actually during a reading where I was over the phone with the client, and I saw something move, and then I worked it out later towards the end of the reading. Oh, that was actually something dropping down, you know, so it had nothing to do with spirit. But I wasn't accusing spirit. I just saw something move, and it was out the corner of my eye. I said, oh, well, something moved over here. So, but to have that kind of stuff go on, and if you have a look at, one thing I'll say, from that video, you have not seen, well, I haven't seen, but I have been watching any of his videos since, but I did not see any other videos where things were moving. So you've got to give some credit to the guy. He did not have any other videos after that where he's got things being thrown at him, or being anything sliding across the counter or that kind of rubbish, because he obviously doesn't have that. I guess he would, being a, you know, for whatever he does. I mean, he's got all the gear. I mean, he's got heaps of gear. But I don't know. I just really don't believe that there is any way you can say that that word was not saying, why do you lie? If you can tell me that was saying something else and tell me what it says, then, and prove that it's saying something other than why do you lie, then, as I said, I'll give you $50. I can't keep giving $50 to every single person if that's the case, but I would definitely put my money where my mouth is. And I'm not going to, you know, be beating anyone around the bush type of thing. That is what I saw that was coming through that. I actually listened to it closely with headphones on, I played it back slowly. I thought, is that saying what I think it's saying? I had to be sure, and that's what caught my attention when I watched it. But yeah, they are hard to catch. They're not things that will be an everyday occurrence. I mean, as I said, when I first, and I'm going all over subject here at the moment because I'm looking at the chat room as well, and Order made a mention about having on his video where the door shut and you could actually see it, and he was clearly not in the frame, and you could tell that he wasn't behind the door because you would have seen his shadow because of the light. But there was definitely, you know, that movement of the shutting of the door really quick. But besides that, I had occasion when I first moved in, I guess, you know, it is in correlation with the topic of the show anyway. How do you tell if you've got a haunting? So I'm going to go back to topic now. When I first moved in, I have brought up this before, I had pot plants and I had them in the living room, and I went out the next morning and all the plants that were all placed up lovely and neat and around the place ended up in the middle of the room, right in the middle of the floor. But I did not take them in the middle of the floor. They were far too heavy for my kids to carry to the middle of the floor. And at the time of moving in, I was a single mother. So there was no male, no boyfriend or anything like that. And so anyway, that I did not see in action. I just had the incident, the aftermath of seeing the pot plants in the middle of the room. So I didn't see them physically being floating in the air and landing in the middle of the room. Whether they did float or whether they were like pushed, I don't know, because they weren't exactly light pot plants, if you know what I mean. Some of them were the ceramic heavy bowls, and even I had to like basically lift one side and walk them to their positions in the corner because they were like the, you know, the palm type of plants. And anyway, that was probably the only big, you know, moving thing that I experienced when I first moved in. But I've had a lot of occasions. One day there at a unit that I used to live in, I was in the lounge room with my friends, were sitting there talking, and next minute we heard a great big bang, went into the kitchen to discover that the actual oven door had flown off its hinge. And I mean, how it even got off the hinge itself is beyond me, but it actually went flying into the actual fridge that was there on the side of the fridge, because we could hear the gas coming off the fridge, like that noise after the bang. And we were led to the kitchen area because that's where the noise was coming from, that hissing. And it was a fridge. It had left a big dent, an indentation on the side of the fridge. But how can an oven door come off its hinge, literally off its hinge, is beyond me. But that, you know, I guess that's probably the only place that, you know, if I'm to say there was something there dark that I didn't trust, then it was at that place. And even the people who came to move the stuff out, the removalists, they actually felt like someone was pushing them out, you know, when they were carrying the stuff. That was the fastest furniture removalist company that I had ever in my whole life known. And they were quick. So, I mean, you pay by the hour with them. I was like within an hour and a half, had everything from a whole entire house of furniture and white goods and everything else completely out and into the truck. So, you know, look, I'm not saying things don't happen. As I said, in relation to me, given the fact that I do have daily contact and the fact that I'm doing the readings daily, then you would think if anyone's going to be attacked more, it's going to be a person who's constantly in contact with spirit, who is on a daily basis, talking to people, talking to relatives of people who have lost someone. And I mean, not every single reading, mind you, and I have to point this out, not every single reading will a spirit come through. There have been occasions where I have nobody for that person. And I'll give you an example tonight. A lady who had a reading with me, she was going through, I'm not going to like give too much of private information away, because the last thing I want is her, if she is watching, to feel that, oh my God, my whole personal business is being aired to the world. I wouldn't do that. But there was a situation of a particular loved one who has gone through something distressing, and she said that she would have hoped that one of her parents, and I won't say who, would have come through. And I said, well, look, maybe if they didn't believe in this when they were here, they are not likely to come through. But I don't know. I'm not that spirit. I can't speak for them. I can't speak for them because they're not speaking to me and they're not here. And I'm not going to tell you they're here if they're not. Even after her telling me who she would have hoped to have been here, I wasn't suddenly going to say, oh, hang on a minute, there is someone coming through that is this person. I'm not going to do that to anybody. So that is why I don't feel that they were going to come through, simply because, one, they didn't believe in it when they were here. As you stated, they didn't. You know, they were devout Catholics, so they had the opinion that you don't do that kind of stuff, that it's against God. So that would be my assumption of, okay, that's probably why they weren't here. That's why they weren't going to speak to me. But beside that, I then, after finding out that there was something tragic that happened to the partner of this one that had crossed over, and I have to be careful what I say here, because, as I said, in case they are listening, that maybe, because I think back to what Spirit said to me, you don't approach anyone in the street and tell them that they've got a spirit around them, because there could be damage that you could do to that person, you know, and it's considered ego seeking. So to approach someone in public and have people, you know, and that person think, oh my God, this person is contacted or can see my mother or my father, whoever, that to do that is ego seeking in the eyes of Spirit. So you don't approach anybody in public and tell them someone's around. And you don't know the damage that that can do to that person. Once you walk away, you're leaving that person with the thought that they have been out shopping and walking around with no knowledge that their mother or father are right beside them. And they might be going through depression. They may be suicidal. They may be thinking, I just got over the loss of my parent or whatever, and now, or my husband or whoever, and now I'm in a situation where I'm confronted with the fact they've been around me and I miss them. And all of a sudden that person's mind is constantly focused on that again. They might have been going through grief counseling for all that person knows. And these, you know, like what's it called, a Long Island medium, where she walks up to people, and I've seen some of the shows, because like people would say, what do you think of this? And she would be saying to a woman who had lost her fiance or her boyfriend that beside you, asking you to marry him. Now, seriously, could you imagine if that person has gone through traumatic, like a post-traumatic stress as a result of losing their boyfriend, who that might have been the world to them? They're saying, marry me? What, marry you in the afterlife? You want me to kill myself to be with you so you can marry me? Imagine what would be going through the mind of that person living. And it is scary to think that there are people out there telling people exactly this crap about your loved one is coming through, and they're saying that they, you know, they might say they miss it. And there have been cases where spirit has said, I do miss holding you, physically feeling you, like, you know, being able to hold you like I used to. But usually when people come to see me, I don't know, for one, who they're wanting to see in the first place, or not see, but hear from. I'm not told whether I'm speaking to a male or a female when I have my appointments. I get an itinerary sent, and all it says is the time, the date of the booking. It actually says the date, and it has what time and what they've ordered, whether it be a half hour or a 1 hour or a 1.5 hour reading. And then about 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes at max before it starts, I'm sent a text message from my staff, and it says, you'll be doing the 11 a.m. by phone, and this is the phone number. So I don't know whether I'm going to be doing it by phone or by Skype or through Facebook Messenger chat until that time is approaching. And that's how I prefer it, because I've had cases where someone has booked and it's not them having the reading, it's someone else having the reading, because they say, oh, my daughter booked it for me for my birthday or something like that. And I think, oh, that's lovely, So I don't know. I mean, if I were the type to be, doing my own bookings, as an example, I could easily assume that person is having a reading, do a whole heap of, if I was this way inclined to know who I was reading for, do a whole lot of investigation if I was bothered about that person, only to discover that's not even that. And I would laugh to think of, the people that might do stuff like that. And I'm sure they do. I'm sure that there are plenty out there who they will imagine their face having looking up their person, probably on their Facebook page, and going through their profile and reading all the crap about them and stuff like that, and then it's not even them. I would absolutely laugh my head off if I were a fly on the wall and I saw this going on. And so anyway, I know it's bitchy of me, but have a great day, Riley, and thanks for dropping in, and I hope your little one has a beautiful birthday, very special day. So you've got to be with her. Yes, so getting back to it, the topic of the video is how to tell if you have a haunting with Karen. So let's move on to that. Now, it's usually a given that most people will know when they have a haunting, because there's a very clear change in the atmosphere. You can sense that you are being either watched, or you can sense you're not alone. And many people, and I'm going past people who may have a paranoia or whatever. I mean, if you've got no paranoia, if you've got no bipolar, if you've got no psychological, mental capacity that is, challenging, or you're not taking medication or painkillers or drinking alcohol. That's a good question, Laurie. I'll get to that. Then you can be pretty much assured of having all your wits about you when you sense that something else is there beside you, and you might be in the home alone. Sometimes people's fear kicks in, and they might have watched horror movies or whatever, and they've got all these, it's like fear. You know what it's like when you're a kid. If you were, I laugh at my daughter because she used to go from the bathroom and literally tear down the hallway and run, slam her door behind her in a bedroom as if that's going to stop a spirit. I mean, they walk through the door, but she would do that as a way of running. So funny, kids. But anyway, good question from Laurie B.E. Karen, why do people call it a haunting? It is a very good question because the fact is, like, it goes back. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know why, but I can only give you my assumption. And I would say that the reason people call it a haunting is because there is an obvious sense of activity that is out of the ordinary. It is something that cannot be explained logically. It can't be something that, you know, is, well, I can put that down to the house settling, because those noises, you know, when houses settle of the evening, it's not that kind of noise. It's a definite disembodied voice that's calling my name, that's saying my name. You've got other people in the home noticing things who are very sane, and many people don't say anything when they, with the headphones when I listen. Okay. Many people don't say anything when they actually experience something because of the fear of being looked at stupid by relatives or loved ones and so on. So they will shut up about it. And I can understand them doing that, because the last thing you want, especially if you've just moved in with a partner or whatever, you don't want that person thinking you've lost it. I'm going to have to bear with me for a second because I have a bit of a distraction from the cat getting up onto something, talking about moving. I'll be back in a moment. So chat among yourselves. Okay, sorry about that. I almost had the dog going for the cat, so I didn't want any dramas while I was... Anyway, all right, now, where was I? Okay, so many people, if they experience something, it's very natural for them to feel like if they talk about it to anyone close to them, they could be looked at as stupid, or they could lose their friends. So they will shut up about it. And sometimes they may be the only ones experiencing, sorry, I'm getting my itinerary through for tomorrow. They may be the only one who is experiencing it, you know, and it's quite possible that when you've got a haunting, you can have spirits that will single you out. I mean, look at Chris, for example. When he first came to, you know, I don't know whether I should use the word reveal himself to me. I was in bed, and my daughter came in and she said she couldn't sleep, that she was being touched, like woken up type of touch, not touched in a bad way. And she said, "Can I sleep with you?" And I think it's also because my bed's warmer. So I said, "Yeah, no problem." So she hopped in, and you know, when you cuddle your kids, you know, you just cuddle up to them. And I had my chin down, like my eyes closed, and I was going off to sleep. And then all of a sudden, there was this bright light right up against my eyelids. And you know, when you've got your eyes shut and say there's a light that goes on, you can tell the light goes on in the room because of the fact that your eyelids, you know, suddenly become bright, so to speak. You know, where you follow me. Well, it was like a bright light right in front of my eyes, but my eyes were shut. And then it felt like around my jaw and my fillings, and I do have some fillings. Yes, they're all my teeth, but I do have fillings. There was this sudden, like a vibration type of thing, like, you know, when you've got like electricity, or like a static kind of feeling, but it was actually affecting my teeth, my fillings, I should say. And I thought that felt really uncomfortable, because I've had them come close to me before, like face to face, but not that close. And he was right here, and I knew if I opened my eyes that I was going to see someone there, but I kept my eyes shut. In fact, I sort of felt uneasy, to be honest with you. So I kept my eyes shut, and then I heard this voice say, "Hi." And it was like, "Hi," really airy like. And he said, "I'm Chris. I really love you." And I thought, who's Chris? And I couldn't place anyone by the name of Chris. I only had an uncle called Chris from my stepfather's side, but he certainly was among the living. And I don't think he'd be saying he really loves me. So I just kept my eyes shut, thinking I'm not going to open my eyes. And I don't know what it was, sort of like I must have looked like, you know, these kids that pull the blanket over them and think, if I've got a blanket over me, I'm protected. It's like my shield. Well, I was like this, and I wasn't going to open my eyes because I didn't want to encourage anything from this Chris fella. So I was, you know, I fell asleep, and the next day I had a bit of a giggle because I was telling my middle daughter about the experience. I said, "Oh, I've got, you know, this spirit called Chris who," and I knew it was a spirit, you know, and where the bed head is, it's actually against a wall. So, you know, there is no chance that something could just come through the wall, or somebody could just come through the wall and put a torch in my eyes, and like up near my eyes, and then say, "I really love you." So she said to me, she said, "Did you didn't you have a headache yesterday or something? And I said, yeah. She said, you don't think when you took a migraine capsule or whatever that might be, you know, that you heard it? Because we always try to, and I've taught my kids, always try to debunk, always try to look for a logical explanation for things. Don't just all, you know, straight away say that it's spirit. So she asked me these questions. I said, I don't think so. And at that point, I felt him around me. It was just a feeling, just an obvious, I know that I am not in this room with just my daughters. Someone else is here. And it was the same kind of feeling that I got, that same kind of electric kind of feeling, like there was electricity in the air. And I'm sure that many of you who have had the experience of spirits around them, you would know that electrical kind of feeling, or that electric charge feeling in the air. It's a very easy way of describing an obvious energy that you can sense, that you can feel. And this was not like any other spirit that, you know, had been around me. Usually when I have spirits around me during readings, for example, they keep a distance. They're not like right up against me or, you know, in my face kind of thing, unless they're, you know, being ignored, which is not usually happening because I always acknowledge them. But this was a energy that was just undeniable, and I felt him in the room. So what do? I grabbed my iPhone and I said, if this is the same Chris that was in my, you know, in my bedroom last night saying that you loved me, can you say what you said, like in your words, into this recorder, which was my iPhone. I have the recorder app that is built into the phone itself. And it's a very basic phone. It only has like 5.39 gigabyte, I think, to its name. It's one of the most basic of storage because I don't use the phone much. So I'll get to reading some of your things in a minute. So if you can sort of like just wait. Okay, well, we've got Danielle, sorry. Hobbs wrote, I've woken in a dream in a bright white room in bed and found myself in the middle of this room. My spirit guide walked up to me, shook my hand and told me his name, turned around and left. Okay, well, this is like, this isn't spirit guide, but that wasn't a dream I was having because my daughter had just got into bed with me and I had this bright light in my face, basically, and I could see the light through my eyelids, and even when I remember, my eyes were like quivering because the light was that bright and white. So here I was with my trusty old iPhone, and I said, if this is the same Chris from last night, please say into it what you said. And this I'll bring up is what he said. So for those that haven't heard it, I will try to retrieve that so you can hear. Type in, I really love you. The video that comes up first under that little, what's it called, like a magnifying glass thing on the top of the channel, you'll be able to find that. And this is him. So let's see if I can. And this is actually his voice. So I'll put the volume up and hopefully you can hear. Okay. And this is a replay. Hear how metallic it sounds too? Okay, so that sound, there is a little bit of cleanup, but there's not a lot of cleanup, because when you've got spirit that is speaking into a device, and this is the iPhone, it's exactly the same iPhone, and there's this, I don't know whether you can see it, this is the app that is built into the actual, it's called a recorder or something. I think it's called, hang on, I'll try and tell you the exact name. Voice Memos is the name of it. So I have mine at the thing here, and when you click on it, that's called Voice Memos. And you click on the little red button, which is there, which is obviously in black and white. So I'm going back to old school when I was a little girl in, you know, in my teens, and we had black and white TV. So we're doing black and white tonight. So that's why it's black and white. So that is red. And so when you click that, it begins to record. And that is what I got his voice on. And that is how he spoke. And that kind of, it's when spirit is being recorded, a lot of times when they're really close, you will actually hear what is like a metallic-y kind of sound to the way that they talk. And that's what came through. So he actually, that was his voice. And as I said to my daughter, it was him who was talking. Did you hear him? And she said, no, I didn't hear him. And I played it. What was that? Okay. Nothing. And I played it back to her, and there's this voice on there, and she said, I didn't hear him. How did you hear him? I said, are you serious? And she said, all right. She said, but I did not hear it because it was so loud. And the fact that it came through the recording so loud, and she was right there and she didn't hear it, she was like, oh, yeah. Oh, so I don't know whether you heard Chris then say, oh. But yeah, that was how loud it was. So did anyone hear him? So Chris is in the room. Chris is in the house. But anyway, that was absolutely amazing. It amazes me still that here is a disembodied voice, really loud, really clear. And when I look at chat and have a chance, feel free to mention anything about what was said with my balancing. I was curious about the whole two angels thing. Huh? Oh, you were the one that I did a balancing for. Are you sure these are really personal? Chris, are you doing things? Are you going to come and talk? Okay, well then, during, yeah, there actually really was a Rachel that wanted a aura and a spirit balancing. And, okay. So you can hear Chris? Can anyone hear Chris, or could you hear him? My mic sounds awful, really? Chris is near me, so if my mic's gone funny, then you'll know. Yeah. Whenever spirit comes close to the mics and everything, it does begin to play up. Send a link after the video's over, Julia. Send a link on the actual post below the video, and I will definitely go and have a look at your videos. If it sounds staticky, I mean, I can't hear what you're hearing because I've actually got mute on my volume here. But if it does sound staticky, then you know it's Chris. Chris, are you mucking around with the? Do you want to talk? I don't know whether you can hear him. And it's so funny because I have invested so much in mics. I bought a Rode mic, I bought these other mics, and I even got like a proper thing. Let me see if I can turn down some volume. Maybe that will change it. Any difference? Let me know if there's any difference. We are old school tonight. Is it Glenn from North Nottingham Paranormal? Is that it? Is that your name, Glenn? We're having a 1950s night. My era. Much better? Okay, good. Are you serious? Okay. Some people, I'm a bit worried now. Some people are saying that it's still the same, and then some people are saying it's better. But Chris is right near me. He is beside me. So, sorry, Chris, you're making my microphones play up. You're going to have to move, mate. I'm going to try and put this over so I can work with this one. Any difference? Rachel. Any difference? Can you hear me? Any difference? It's the same? Damn. Hang on. Let me test it. Okay. That's fine. Settings are fine. Better. Okay, well, all right, so some of the questions coming through here are, Danielle says, can you see him as a full person? How do you see spirits? Okay, some spirits they come through as full-bodied, but because I'm older now, older in a wise way, they appear, but they're not always full-bodied. I might see a part of them, like they might manifest enough to be visible to see a head, a torso and arms, but I might not see from the waist down. There have been times where I've seen the spirit where they've been like from the ground up, but then you get to the bottom of the jowl and there's nothing from the top of the head up. When I was a kid, before I knew that the people, the special people that I had around me were actually spirits or deceased, if you want to put it that way. Tracy's here now. You want to come in, Tracy? And for those who don't know, I have a resident spirit here called Tracy. Oh yes, I do see them in full colour. They're not like black and white, like how I look at the moment and how they look in other movies and so on. But you've got to understand, spirits can only manifest. They can hold a manifestation for only a short amount of time. They can't fully manifest for, you know, like a good hour or two or anything like that. What is interesting though, when I was a kid, as I mentioned before, I realized or found out that the ones that were visiting me were actually, you know, not really supposed to be here. I saw them as clear as day, and for quite a long time I could see them. I mean, I was in the playground playing with them, and there was nothing that would have been able to convince me that they were like ghosts, because in the movies the ghosts were see-through. They were transparent. Like, remember that what's that, I can't remember, the shy ghost, or the one where he's helping his grandson with the war. I can't remember the name of that, but that was a movie where I saw what was supposed to be ghosts, or ones where they're dragging the chain and everything like that. And they don't do that. They don't do anything like that. They sort of like look at you, and then all of a sudden their face turns, really scary when they go close. It's not like anything that looks like that. I mean, some of the horror movies, yeah, nothing like Casper, where their bottom is like a tail kind of thing. I mean, nothing at all like that. They're not like that. But a lot of times now, I mean, as I'm older, times they will present in a vision, or they will present as an image that I'm seeing in my mind. Like, I had one spirit who, and it's funny because as I'm settled towards the evening, when I'm not doing my readings and I'm just relaxing and vegging out, I actually notice them. And a lot of times I'm noticing them going past me very quickly. And I'm like, okay, I know you're here. If you want to talk, come and talk to me. I'll be happy to listen. But I've had ones that they will be standing off, and I always leave my bedroom door open. It's been a habit. I know that they're going to come through, but I'd rather them just walk through the doorway than through the door itself, but they know they can come and see me. But if I had one occasion that I will share with you where this spirit came to see me. I'm actually quite proud of it, because it actually proved to people that I wasn't a fake. There are people out there, they can say one thing and yet having the proof in the pudding is something else. Like having things that they say that no one else could know. Like one woman, I didn't know whether to say it during a reading, because I heard this female spirit say into my ear really quick, happy birthday. And then in another reading, there was another female who said, the cucumbers are nice this time of year. And I didn't know whether it was like a naughty thing, so I was a bit hesitant in saying it, because like, cucumbers? Seriously? Why would a person talk about cucumbers unless there's something dirty behind it? I mean, anyway, this one that said happy birthday, it was like really quick, because when they do talk, sometimes it's like happy birthday, and that's how quickly they talk. And so I said to this woman, oh, and I heard a spirit say happy birthday. And she said, oh my God, I just had my birthday. And this was her first time of, ever having a reading with me, apparently, from what she said. And so that was a good indication, because one of the things that she asked was, if anyone's going to be speaking to me from the other side, or, turning up, wish me happy birthday. So there was her happy birthday. And that was sweet. It was a nice message, but it wasn't anything that she would be scared by. And I've frozen. And then there was another one who, when they said the cucumbers are nice this time of year, I hesitated and I giggled. And the woman said to me, what are you laughing at? I said, I don't know whether to share it because it sounds so stupid, but I have made a promise, or a pact, you could say, that anything that comes through, I will share. I will tell, no matter how trivial it sounds, I'll just pass it on without question. So I said, this spirit said, the cucumbers are good this time of the year. Yeah, it is lagging. I think my daughter is playing Roblox because it's now school holidays, and I have allowed her to play Roblox or Animal Jam or whatever it is. So anyway, where is I going? So this woman, she said, oh my God, really? And I said, yeah, they said the cucumbers are good this time of year. And I said, is that something like, naughty? And she said, no. She said, that's actually quite sweet. And I said, okay. I said, well, that's got me. I've never heard that expression. She said, well, that was my nickname, Cucumber. And she said, I used to love cucumbers as a kid, so everyone used to call me Cucumber. And she said, so for you to hear that was my sign. And I said, okay, well, there you go. And then I just continued with the reading. I didn't go into, tell me anything else about you or anything like that. The important thing is, and I'll just put this out, if anyone has a reading with anybody and you sit or have the phone reading and they say, what is it you want to hear? I mean, not what you want to hear, but what is it you're here to have a reading about? Or is there anybody you want to contact? Then don't go through with that reading. Demand a refund if you've already paid, because they are supposed to give you the reading. They're supposed to tell you what comes through. If they say, does that make sense? Then all you should be doing is saying yes or no. And any reading that you have with anybody, you should only leave all your questions until the end of the reading. So those that have had a reading with me, who are in our chat room, you know how I work. You know that I always wait until the end of the reading before I say, do you have any questions or anything that I have not mentioned today? Do you have, so that is how I do my reading. So here you go. Now, any other questions that we have in our chat room? Let's have a look-see. And what I'm going to do at the end of this, I'm going to take down, and actually might do that now, so a little bit of background music while I type in some names. If if those that are here in the chat could just put your first name, I will, because like I don't want to put like ghostly sessions, whispers from heaven, and all that. The ones like Liz, I'll just put Liz, unless there's any other Liz there. And I'll put Rachel. I think I spelled your name wrong, Rachel. Sorry. But if you can just put your first name, okay, so there's Ray. At the end of this live stream, what I'll do is I will then go in and do the random name picker so that it's all above board and honest, and you can see who the winner is, because I'm actually giving away a reading, a full recorded reading to the value of $150. So if you want to be in that, everyone in my chat is going to go in. So if you have had a reading though with me, you can give, if you happen to win it, then you can give it to somebody else. You don't have to tell me who you're giving it to. It's irrelevant because I never told the sex of the person having a reading or their name or anything like that. But I will then give you the details to where to message my admin, and they can set up the appointment with you, because even the ones that win free readings with me through the page on Facebook, they are never told to me when they're having their reading. What happens is they are booked in session with my other bookings. So when I get the itinerary of the time and the reading type, I mean, I will be putting down this is a 1 hour reading, and the most of that reading is going to be me telling you what comes through, not you telling me what you want to hear. And then at the end of the reading, then you can ask whatever it is that you want to know, or what hasn't come through, and then I can see if that makes sense. Because a lot of times when I do readings, nothing makes sense to me, and it's not meant to make sense to me. It's meant to make sense to the person that I'm reading. So I'm just going to have a look and see if you put your first names. So if you can just hang on, just scroll down to the bottom. So where are we? Start putting in if you're listening, stop the conversation you're having, and if you want to be in to win a 1 hour reading to the value of $100, $150, not $100, then just put your first name, and I'll put your first name down into the random name picker so that it's right to go at the end of the live stream. So, okay, so I've got Laurie. I'm just putting the first name. I've got Ray, I've got Rachel, I've got Liz. Okay. Now, Springtrap, I believe you're still in school. So just so you know, I don't read for people under 18. But if you want, you can give it to anyone else. Okay, so we've got Shannon. And Rachel. I've got your name down. Okay, then we have Portia. So because you had a reading by me, Portia, which went for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours last week, you won't be able to get it. So you'll have to give it to someone else. The reading reason is Danielle. If you have a reading, you cannot have another reading for at least, sorry, you've got to wait at least 3 to 6 months between readings if you want an honest reading. Now, Appy Droid, you can go in it, but you'll have to give it to someone who's over 18. So if you want to put your name down, you're okay to put your name down, but you mustn't take up the reading, because the reason I never okay, so I'll put Joanne. The reason I never read for those under 18 is because your path is still being developed, and it can actually be bad for you. It can really mess up your path because you're still getting your identity, if you know what I mean. So I've got Joanne's name. Well, I don't question these things. I wish I was 39. And I even recorded yours, Portia. Okay, so so have you got yours? Did they send it to you? Did they send the recording to you, Portia? Okay, so I'll tell you the names that I've got down: Liz, Rachel, Ray, Laurie, Shannon, Portia, Danielle, Joanne. Okay. Is Zara? Oh, okay, so that's Zara. Put your first name down if you want to go in the draw to win the reading. It's to the value of $150. So I don't know who Paranormal White Noise is. So that's Zara. If it is, hi. All right, Zara. I'll put your name down. Okay. Anyone else want to go into this? I've got Liz, Rachel, Ray, Laurie, Shannon, Portia, Danielle, Joanne, Zara. You're incognito. Gotcha. So North Nottingham Paranormal, that is Glenn, correct? Albert, do you want your name down? Okay. I'll put Albert in. I think there's a bit of a delay. All right. Albert, say, okay, so Glenn. Glenn, do you want to be in it? I don't go putting anyone else's name down because they might not want a reading. And I need the people who want to actually be in the running for a reading to have their own name beside their account. Okay, so yeah, that's all right. So you don't want to be in it, Laurie? No worries, I'll take your name out. All right. Anyone else not want to be in it to win it? I'm not forcing anybody. So the names now on the list are Liz, Rachel, Ray, Shannon, Portia, Danielle, Joanne, Zara, and Albert. Now, you do realise, Laurie, that if you did go in it and you won it, you could actually give it as a gift to somebody. So it's completely up to you, because when you actually do the booking with my admin, they don't tell me anyway who's having the reading. So these names are only for those that are in the chat room to see, or watching, that who has won it. But I won't have a clue where you get booked in, because I don't do my bookings. Yay. I wouldn't have that job if you paid me anyway. So it's up to you. So what I'll actually do, I might do an early draw. So if there's anyone else who wants to go in it, even if you're watching and you don't necessarily want to join chat, but you just want to say, I'm watching and I would like to win a reading, you know, you don't even have to be a subscriber. I'm not going to be fussy or pinicky or hold that against you. You don't pay your bookers. What do you mean? Oh, my staff get paid. Absolutely. Oh, they're on wages. And they get holidays. I think I might work for myself. Oh, don't say that, Glenn. It's not nice. I know you're joking, but I'm very lucky. I've got lovely staff. Okay, so anybody else before I close off this and do a draw? I'm going to do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I know there's a delay, so I'm going to I hope so, because I don't know what they're like with people, but I have heard I have heard that they go out of their way for a lot of people. All right, so what I'm going to do is bring up, where am I? Whoa. I'll bring up that page. What is wrong with this silly thing? I'm trying to stretch the screen out. The screen. Stretch the screen out. All right, so here we go. Here is the screen. Here are the names: Liz, Rachel, Ray, Shannon, Portia, Danielle, Joanne, Zara, and Albert. Good luck. Someone is about to win a reading by yours truly. The value of $150. Who will that winner be? Zara! So Zara, congratulations, you have won. And I won't know when you will be booked with me, because you'll be making that booking with my staff. They don't tell me when anyone is actually, or who's reading with me. So you'll have to book it with them, and then look at these ads that popped up on that thing. So Zara, you're the winner. I'm going to put in admins. They will be back tomorrow because they had an early one tonight, and they've actually gone out to a theatre restaurant. Can you believe? Admin at the High Priestess Studio.com. Okay, so there's the email address. Congratulations, Zara. It will be recorded for you. Obviously you're overseas, but this is the thing. This is how it works. I do a pre-read on all my 1 hour and like 1 hour and a half readings. And what happens is the pre-read is my way of tuning into the appointment time. So because I'm not told who's having the reading and I don't get that, you know, like link to either, you know, I mean, because you're overseas, naturally it would be either a Skype, voice chat, because I don't do like video chat, because as you can tell, when it freezes, it really interferes with it screws up the connection, and I don't need to see you anyway. So it would be either a Skype voice chat or a Facebook Messenger voice chat. And what happens is admin, they send me a link to wherever, like if I'm getting a person who is going to be a phone reading, about 5 minutes to the time of the reading itself, they send me a text and they say it's going to be a phone number, which will be to this phone number. And then I've got 5 minutes. So 5 minutes is not a lot anyway, even if I wanted to find out, you know, a whole heap of like an A4 page of stuff on anybody. That's not enough time to do any kind of research, even if I wanted to, which I wouldn't bother anyway. But when I get sent the link, they try and cut it as close to the time as possible, because again, I don't want to know who I'm going to be reading for. So when they send me the link, I just click on the link and it takes me either into the Messenger thing, and I just write, "Are you ready?" Or if it's Skype, they'll give me the Skype address, and so that's it. And then I do that, and I do the reading with you. I'm trying to sort of like give you a rundown of how it works. So I'm not told if I'm reading for a male. I'm not told whether I'm reading for a female. They will fit you in my normal scheduled times. So we've got, you know, I've said to them, leave a few hours available over the weekend. I will be doing a live stream. I think I'll be doing that Sunday from what the vote was on the page. So that live stream will be to do with the Facebook page for, you know, some people like to have these spirit box sessions, and they call up, you know, for me to ask for a loved one, and their voices come through and tell them things that only they know. So thank you for joining. So yeah, anyway, so what happens is I will then read out what I picked up in my pre-read about whoever I'm reading. You might be booked for a Saturday, you might be booked for a Sunday, you might even be booked through the week, but I won't know that. Only you and my admin will know. And I'll give you a long story short. There was one staff member who I actually had to dismiss because they sent me the name of the person who was having a reading, and I had to cancel it because they told me a little bit too much information, and that was the name of the person. Even though it was about 5 minutes to the commencement of the reading, it was a phone reading. And not only that, the woman had said to my staff member, who I had to dismiss, that she wanted to hear from somebody. I think it was her grandfather. So she put that in the message, that she wanted this woman, say her name was Judy. Judy wants to hear from her. Oh, and Judy wants to hear from her grandfather. I mean, are you serious? That has just destroyed the reading. So I said, okay, refund that woman her money. Tell her to, you know, in a few months, if she wants to come back, she can book through somebody else. You pack your belongings and you go. And because it is down in the contract that one of the stipulations I have is I do not want to know anything about the person I'm reading. And I've got to be strict. I have to be strict on my staff because they're getting paid very good money just to make my bookings for me. They're handling my bookings. And yeah, I'm a hard boss, I tell you now. You wouldn't want to work for me. I'm a very tough boss, but I'm fair. And so, yeah, I had to let this one go, and I really liked her. I really did. I liked her, and I just couldn't take the risk of her doing it again because she was a scatterbrain. You know, I gave her a chance, and I said, you've got to read the rules and stipulations that, you know, you are not to send me anything but the time of the booking, like the date on the itinerary, and the time of the booking, and what type of booking they're having. If they're having a EVP scan session, then it's the, you know, either the hour, which is usually what it is, and EVP. If they're having a half-hour session, they just write 30 next to it, and the time of that booking. So when I speak to the person, I say, and you're having a 1 hour, you've booked the 1 hour. So they say yes, and I validate that with them to make sure that that is the right booking. And then I go into reading what I picked up in the pre-read. So that's how I work. And then, like 5 minutes before, I don't want to know anything about the person except for what comes through spirit or what comes through. Yeah, so have a lovely dinner. Oh goodness, dinner time there. Well, you're almost sort of like on par with our time here in Sydney. But I do hope that gives you a bit of understanding, and that's how reading should be. But I'm not here to talk about readings apart from, you know, congratulations to our winner Zara for winning that prize giveaway, and there'll be more in the future with these if you like to have that as a giveaway. I just didn't know what to give away. I could have given a book away, but I just thought, why a book when you can have the reading? Anyway, was there any other questions that anyone wanted to ask about hauntings, or how certain things feel when you've got a spirit around you? I don't know what's going on in chat. It's a little conversation. Yeah, I heard you. You're hiding. I bet you're hiding money. Oh, bless your heart, Ray. Well, you could have won one. You never know. Keep watching, and if I have another giveaway and I give away a reading, you might get lucky. Oh, so funny. But I actually had a good reading with Whispers. Who are you asking to watch your video? Portia, can you please watch my video? Hi Priestess, can you check out my channel? I have 2 videos in there where I sing. What where you sing? Is there anything happening when you sing? I'm not one that's right into music, I have to be honest. Sorry. I'm not like a music person. Okay, so when you see an apparition and it just looks at you instead of going away, what does that mean? That's so funny. This happened to me. This is right. That means that they either thought you were good looking and they just couldn't take their eyes off you, Ray. I don't think there's any real, I mean, like, if person walks by and they just look at you, it depends on what kind of look they gave you. Was it a come to bed eyes look? Was it a was it a look that was like, I'll fix you kind of look, maybe with a hint of come to bed eyes? Or was it was it something kind of like this? Did they look at you like, what are you? Look. You can have a look. Okay, so it turned the corner, it stopped. It stopped when she saw you. Ah, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so it was more like a curious look. Were you talking at the time, Ray? Because you do sound like everybody loves Raymond. Well, that's pretty long for them to. So, were they fully manifest, or were they? You said transparent. Okay, I'll have a look. Whispers. Well, spirits are really no different to us, honestly. I mean, she might have been. She turned the corner, turned to look at me, and she had no feet. Okay, because see, they don't fully. This is why when people say they are fully manifest, it surprises me, because they can't always fully manifest. There is a part that they do not manifest. Either it could be an arm, it could be the feet, it could be even sometimes you might have the waist missing. But the fact that she looked at you may be her way of saying, okay, I'm here. Do you mind if I ask, was this in your home, or was this somewhere else? My mascara. Was it somewhere else, or in your home? I can't remember if you said. Yeah. So then that's your answer. She obviously, if she was somewhere else, what do you expect if you're calling for her? You've just answered your own question, Ray. You said, I was calling for her. And then she showed herself, stood there and looked at you. She was probably saying, okay, well, I'm here. You called for me. What do you want? And then did you say anything when you saw her? Or did you just stare back? Oh, you're a rat bag. Oh, I didn't know she would. Okay. Oh, Ray, you're funny. You don't call to a spirit and then when they show themselves, oh, you asked her to come closer. God. And did she, or did she just turn off and go? I think I can guess it was the latter, right? Albert says you're taking her out for lunch. Oh dear. It does, absolutely, Glenn. It takes a lot of energy for them to manifest. And that's why most spirits are partial, exactly. Someone's been doing their homework. Good. So she went back around the corner, just as I expected. So then that would be obvious that, you know, if you're calling to them and then you say, come closer, if you sort of paused and I feel that she probably stopped to look at you as if to say, do I know you? But remember, whenever you're communicating with any spirit, always introduce yourself, because they don't know you. They don't know what your intentions are. They're just as suspicious of you as if they were, you know, in the flesh. So they will, you know, a lot of spirits look at you. I've had spirits that have just stood there looking at me, and when I actually then say, okay, I give them attention, then they approach me. Or they say, oh, I'm sorry, can I ask you a question? And I could be relaxing. That could be my relaxing time. So you were in a basement. Okay. If only you knew what was going in the chat here. Some of the typical men. I shouldn't say that, because no men are really typical. Or are they? You ask, can you receive? Then after I had really good communication later, flashlights. Oh, not the flashlights. Okay. And spirit box. Can I just interject there with flashlights? When I was a kid, we had a game called the Talking Flashlight. And now I'm seeing a lot of ghost hunters. You are kind of unique. You've got it in one there, right? I see a lot of ghost hunters using flashlights to communicate. And I need to tell you, don't accept that as communication. If a torch goes on and you've had to unscrew it, what you're doing is you're leaving the connectors to a point where they can actually still receive the battery. Because what happens is those coils, when they begin to expand, when they cool down, and then they touch or whatever, I don't know, there's this video, I will actually remind me to put the link. Hang on, I'll remind myself. I don't trust you to remind me. Let me just write it down. Oh, where is it? Over here. Actually, I might even be able to find it. Give me a second. I'll try and look for it. The torch. Yeah. Because there is a guy that actually talks about how the torch works, and not just, you know, you turn it on and you turn it off, but this is how the torch works when you are actually using it for spirit communication. He really debunks it, and it isn't spirit communication. So sorry, it's not. I think I've got it in. Hang on a second. Where are we? So I'm just looking for it, and I want you to watch it, because it is really important that you see how these things work. They are not. Okay, here it is. I'll put it on for you to have a look. Okay. Okay, guys. Are you ready? I hope so. There we go. All right, so here we go. Pay attention.
And eventually it goes out. The ghost hunter continues asking questions and, amazingly, the flashlight seems to confirm by switching on. This can go on for a while. Anyway, the ghost hunters think that they are communicating with ghosts through a blinking flashlight. Well, we are not going to discuss whether it makes sense to ask a spirit to operate a flashlight. This video is about how it works. Why does the flashlight go on and off again and again? I tried to get the flashlight for which the effect has been confirmed. When examining close-ups in some videos, I could identify the flashlight used as the Mini-Mac Light 2-cell AA Xenon. This is the version not having an LED but an incandescent light bulb with a power rating of 900 milliwatt at a voltage of 3 volt. I bought one of these, and after fiddling with it for a while and switching it to a loose contact position, it did the trick. It went on and off again and again. It did that for hours, and I did not have to do any ghost for that. I did not even have to be present in the same building. To get an idea of how the trick might work, let's take a closer look at the flashlight's design. The hull of the Mac light is completely made of aluminum, and you can switch it on and off by turning the head. But unlike most other flashlights of this kind, it goes off when you tighten it by turning the head clockwise, and when you unscrew it, it goes on. By turning the head clockwise, the reflector of the flashlight presses on a switch cylinder that carries the light bulb. The switch cylinder, again, carries a side contact that touches the aluminum hull. When the reflector pushes the switch cylinder into the barrel of the flashlight, the electrical circuit is opened and the light goes off. Conversely, when the reflector releases pressure, then the spring in the tail cap pushes the switch cylinder through the batteries so that the side contact touches the aluminum hull again, so the light goes on. Now, some people think that the cause of the flashlight going on and off might be knocks or vibrations in the environment. It is true that the lamp can be switched on or off this way, but the trick also works when there are no shocks at all. There is also the theory that the metal of the hull is contracting and expanding under the heat of the light bulb, and that these movements cause electric contact to be made or broken. When measuring the temperature of the hull while the lamp is on, it becomes evident that the aluminum hull barely heats up. However, the interior parts of the flashlight heat up quite a bit. The measurement reveals that the reflector can easily heat up by 13 degrees Celsius. It is made of plastic. Plastic is a bad heat conductor, but it does expand under heat. By the help of a microscope camera, I tested how far the reflector expands and contracts. I just heated it up with the hairdryer and then took pictures of it during the cool-down process. It turns out that the temperature difference of 13 degrees Celsius results in a heat difference of roughly 0.01 millimeters or 10 micrometers. Let's see how an expansion of 10 micrometers translates into turns of the flashlight's head. The screw thread of the flashlight's head has roughly 8 gaps at a distance of 11 millimeters. This means that a full turn of the flashlight's head moves the switch by 1.375 millimeters. So a displacement of the switch by 0.01 millimeters is equivalent to a 2.6 degree turn of the head. Seeing how sensitive the flashlight is when being in a loose contact state, a turn of nearly 3 degrees seems more than enough to switch the flashlight on or off. But there are 2 more experiments that support the idea that the blinking of the flashlight is driven by thermal deformations of the reflector. The first experiment is actually the simple observation that the flashlight trick does not work when the flashlight is at room temperature. If the flashlight has been off for a longer time and you immediately switch it to the loose contact position and it goes off, it will not go on again. When trying the trick with a cold flashlight, you need to switch it on for at least 20 to 30 seconds before making loose contact. Otherwise, there will be no on-off cycle. This observation does not only indicate that the trick really depends on the heat of the lamp. We can now also identify the piece that needs to be heated up to start the cycle. If the trick works mainly because of the reflector heating up and cooling down, then it should be enough to heat up only the reflector to initiate the cycling. You can take a hairdryer to separately heat up the reflector before reconstructing the lamp. If the reflector's thermal deformation is not involved in the flashlight trick, then nothing should happen, just as nothing happens when the trick is started with a cold flashlight. But as it turns out, the heat up of the reflector is actually enough to initiate the cycling. Let's try to figure out what exactly is happening. When the light bulb goes on, then the reflector expands and presses the switch cylinder down until the contact is broken. Conversely, when the light bulb goes off, then the reflector contracts and reduces pressure on the switch cylinder until contact is made. However, there is something missing in this picture. When the lamp switches on, then why does it stay on for such a long time? Conversely, why does the lamp stay off for such a long time, sometimes even for many minutes? Let's do some temperature measurements. Here the temperature of the front plate is measured. This is not the same as the temperature inside the lamp because the IR thermometer also captures reflections of the heat radiated by the light bulb, but it gives us a rough idea of the temperature progression. Now, when the lamp switches on, the temperature rises sharply. So we would expect the reflector to quickly expand, but there is solid contact. The lamp doesn't even flicker. Only after a while, when the temperature is increasing more and more slowly, the lamp goes off. Now the temperature drops sharply, but again, the contraction of the reflector doesn't seem to have an immediate effect on the light. How can this happen? At some point, I just put the flashlight to my ear and listened to whatever sound it made. And I found another phenomenon. In fact, you can hear a tiny clicking sound right before the lamp goes on. Here is an amplified recording of that. What causes the clicking and what causes the on and off phases of the cycle being so long? I could not find anything about the light bulb that could explain this, and I could not find a mechanical cause either. I guess there must be something going on with the contacts, so I consulted literature on contact physics. Here is the resulting theory.
If anyone wants you to go and visit them,
on a microscopic level, the contact surfaces are not smooth, but rather like a landscape of peaks and valleys. Contact is only made at points where peaks touch. Also, the surface of the aluminum hull is covered by a layer of oxide and other contaminants. Whenever aluminum is exposed to air, a layer of oxide grows instantly on its surface. This layer protects the aluminum from further corrosion, since it seals off the surface from the oxygen in the air. But it doesn't conduct electricity, so it must be broken before electric current can flow. This is achieved by a process which is called fricking.
Well, if you go ignoring the video, you're missing out on something educational. So if you want to sit in chat ignoring the video, then that's your choice.
This creates a thin conducting channel through the layer. The channel is so thin that the current forced through it heats it up. By the localized heat, a larger current is induced, causing yet more heat. This vicious cycle causes the contact area to melt, and the insulating layer gets destroyed within less than a millisecond.
And this is just explaining
at the end of
how
the process, there is not only a good connection with low resistance, but since the metal was heated up and cooled down again, the contacts are softly welded together. They stick to another.
How the
torches
don't last very long if you keep doing it, like unscrewing the back of it, so to speak, and then
the pull on the welded contact point to
trying to do these silly
until it breaks. As the
communication
contact point opens, less and less contact area carries the current. The last spot of contact heats up and melts. By this, a bridge of molten metal forms between the contacts. As the bridge gets longer and thinner, it's
so there you go. Bit of education. Hopefully it's going to help you. And don't think I didn't see what you were writing in chat anyway, but I'm trying to provide some education to you if you are interested in seeing how these light flash communication things work. At the end of the day, if you can do some genuine, like, spirit communication without having the all the crap behind it, then you're going to get more quality communication, and spirit will want to work with you. But the ones that actually go in and they're doing these flashlight things and unscrewing the back of it so that the connectors begin to sort of adjust, you know, like as this guy clearly demonstrated in the video, then it's going to be you're only going to fool yourself. And those that are obviously naive to it, I'm hoping to bring awareness. So when it comes down to it, if there's more awareness out there of what this spirit or flashlight, talking flashlight thing is about, that's what we used to call it as kids. And we'd play these games with sleepovers, you know, where you would have the flashlight on and you'd say, talking flashlight, can you please tell me, am I going to have a boyfriend? And then the flashlight would blink and come on and we'd go, oh, you're going to have a boyfriend, you know. So it was all exciting, little girls sleepover, but it was nothing. It was not spirit. And I tell you, I would have seen a spirit doing it if that were the case. But no, it's not. It's not spirit. It is the flashlight itself. And there are other flashlights that you can get. It all comes down to, I mean, people don't walk around with hair dryers. That's number one. They don't warm up things. Sometimes they can use like another like torch that's already going and the heat off that and heat up the connector and then plug it, you know, like screw it on. So they've already got one torch heating up the other one, so it's emitting a heat anyway. But it's really important that you have a look into these videos, question things. If you see something and it's too good to be true, sometimes it is too good to be true, because either it's all for ratings, as you put it, or Yeah, James, you got caught out. But I really, I wanted to play that for you so that you could actually learn from it. So it wasn't taking the mickey out of anybody in the chat room or anything like that, or even Ray, doing it. I think he was joking around with it, but it really is just a game, a very old game that has been around for, I wouldn't say donkey's years because I don't consider myself old. I am old as a donkey. What's 58 years in donkey years? But anyway, that's all I've got for tonight, and I'm hoping that Order will be on next week so that we can possibly do one of these ghost box things. I'm not doubting you, Ray. I see them a lot, but if you called the spirit, and I know I'm going off topic here because people are probably like, what is she talking about? 1 minute she's talking about one thing. And this is pretty much how it is when spirit comes through. But Ray wrote, honestly, I saw that apparition. And so if you did and you were calling them, what do you expect? It's like if you're asking a spirit to come through and give you proof that they're there, and then they give you proof that they're there, and you're like, you asked for it. But the more that he wrote, I know you do, doesn't happen to me though, laugh out loud. Well, the more that you get involved with spirit and the more accepting you are that there is something outside of our physical existence, then you're opening contact. You're going to have more contact because of the fact that you're welcoming it. It's like a fishing line and not expecting a fish to bite. If you're playing with the bait or you're throwing out the line, you're going to have an opportunity of catching a fish. And that is the same with spirit. So it's good that you didn't freak out, because he wrote, I didn't freak out, just wondering why it stayed so long. But if it stayed looking at you, and sometimes it may not have even been 35 seconds or so, you're only doing an estimate in your head that how long it seemed. I guarantee it probably was only a few seconds, because they can only hold a manifestation for a few seconds in reality. I had Ruth, and I asked her if she could try to manifest in front of the camera, and I was actually shaking as I was holding the camera and having her physically manifest in front of the camera, because I never expected to be so lucky and having a spirit say, yeah, I'll do it, because the last thing you think about is that they're going to cooperate like that. Maybe you think they're only showing themselves to you because they trust you, but she basically said that when she was alive, she always wondered about the afterlife, and if there's, she said, if there's any way that I can help others to know that there is an afterlife, then I'll do it. Hello, Mrs. Holte. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I'm not going to be on for long, but I think you'll be interested if you listen to the beginning of this. I sort of like got into I spoke about something. I said the name that I shouldn't say. I guess you. What is it? I spoke of the name, thou shalt not speak from thy lips about. So anyway, yeah, I've lost track completely. But okay, going back to Ruth. So Ruth actually physically manifested only because she knew what it was like when she was alive, that she was always curious about the afterlife. And so that's why we have such a good rapport with one another. I'll never forget the first time, and I'm sort of like going off track all over the place as usual, story of my life. The first time I actually met Ruth, I'll never forget, I was walking through just familiarizing myself with the cemetery, because I intended on seeing it at night time, and I just wanted to get a idea of the area, where to walk without falling over something, and seeing what I felt during the day, because spirits are there day and night. You don't have to have a particular time with spirits. Some people say the witching hour is the most active, and yet I have spirits when I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I can have spirits there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I can have spirits just as active at 10 a.m., some at 5 p.m. You know, it is up to the spirit, not us. And that's the bottom line. It's always up to them. We are never, you know, in control of when they appear or when they communicate or anything like that. So they're going to be there if they want to. Even when I do my reviews, as Mrs. Holte would know, Catherine Holte, I'm used to referring to married women with who I know their husbands as Mr. and Mrs. basically. So yeah, just a force of habit, old-fashioned, I guess. But when I have a interest, like Chris, I just asked while this was running if he would be interested in going and, you know, like how he did before, either going to somebody in the live chat and touching them, or, you know, brushing their hair with his hand, if he would be interested in doing that. And he said no, not tonight. So this is my resident spirit. He has done this in the past, where we actually had just a test to see how he could be in one place and somewhere else really quickly, and how quickly spirit can move from one location to another. And it was one of our first live streams, I think, with mine and Order. And I said, okay, Chris, can you go over to where Riley is? Like, we know his name is Phil Riley. So can you go to, I said, can you go to Order's house? And the spirit box running. So I said, okay. Chris said he's ready. He's ready to go now. And then I said, he's gone. Within a second, Order said, is there a Chris here? And he came through the spirit box saying, yes, it's Chris. Like that, within a second. So it was there, you know, straight at his place, from my place to his place. And that's across the other side of the world. And some people have actually said, which is a myth, by the way, people saying that spirits cannot cross the ocean. That's a load of crap, because they say that the salt water prevents spirits from crossing. And that's why, you know, the theory of having salt in the corners of the rooms, or, you know, across an area spirits can't cross, that is a load of rubbish. Because I've had lots of spirits that have actually crossed over a salt line. It doesn't affect them. I have not seen one spirit yet not be able to cross the salt line. So that must be a movie thing, where it came out in movies. But they can certainly cross salt. They can certainly cross the ocean. With my father, for example, he was in Lincolnton, North Carolina, where his body is buried, and his soul, within 3 days of passing, no, 2 days within passing, he was in my room. And he said, I want to give you a hug. And that was beautiful, you know. So I, of course, was so happy that my dad, who I never sadly got to see face to face in his physical form, we communicated over the internet and over the phone and everything. But, you know, as far as the only time we were face to face was when he passed over. And I went into this cleaning frenzy, getting my house ready, because I knew my dad was coming. And I just got that phone call that he's gone. That's the way they said it. He's gone. And I knew I've got to start cleaning, because I'm going to have a visitor. And it was amazing having my dad visit me. And those that don't know the story, I'll quickly tell you. And I'll tell you one thing too. One of the most viewed videos on all my channel is actually the one of my dad, and it's called Message from Heaven. And that is that's number one in the most viewed of all my hundreds of videos. And he actually, this was a disembodied voice of him coming through and speaking to me. And I actually got his age wrong. I was supposed to put 73. I put 63. Whoops. But I don't think he minds me making him younger. But yeah, on that particular video, I heard my father, well, not in the video itself, but as he was here, saying to me, "You're cute, you're beautiful, I'm the proudest father in the whole world." And then he said, "There's a whole new world waiting for you." And he said, "Play it for the others." So that others, meaning everyone that I was trying to, you know, reach through my channel. And my channel, for those that aren't aware, isn't for entertainment, it's for education. Because I want to prove that spirit does exist, but I'm not going to put up videos of things flying across the room. I'm not going to put up videos of, you know, things spinning around, or, you know, that kind of garbage. I will put up things that are communication videos. They're videos which are valid. Even with the app reviews, as those that don't know, I did a recent review on Tay's husband's app, and when I did it, I didn't even open the app until that day, and I had to wait till my resident spirits were around before actually doing this app, because I would say to them, "Can I do the app today? Do you want to cooperate today?" I'd get, "No, not today, not in the mood." Because spirits have moods as well. And so then I was lucky, I had some time, and I said, "Do you want to help me today?" And they said, "Yeah, okay." So then I did it. And then as I was about to close the app and I'm saying, "Okay, I'm going to turn off this video now," and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they said, "Typical." That's usual, or that's typical, or something to those you know, to that reference. And I said, "What, you want to talk?" And so then we had a bit of a chat, and then after that I continued talking to them off app for about an hour or two. So, you know, they do like to talk to, they don't just like to be, you know, helping with an app. So I have to give them my time as well. So yeah, it was really interesting. And they also rated it. So they had a variety of different ratings. Some were laughing and saying, you know, 15 and all over the place. But it was actually good. And so you can have a look, and they will help me genuinely test out on apps and spirit boxes and whatever. So I like it. And then I'll tell you something that happened tonight. I was just testing to see if the battery in my spirit box for my Andy's box was working, because I was going to do a spirit box session in the live stream, but then I said no, I won't worry about it. And it was so funny because I turned it on. I said, "Hi, it's Karen. Is anyone there?" And it was Chris's voice came through. He said, "Yeah, Karen, it's Chris." I went, "Oh, okay, Chris, I'm going to turn this off now." I said, "I'll turn it on later." And he says, "Okay." So it was funny. You had to be there. But yeah, so anyway, thank you for watching tonight. Thank you for joining. I really do hope that you've taken something from this, apart from the fact that I do have a dummy spit once in a while, especially with the first part of the video. And if you haven't seen it, you'll probably get to see it no doubt, and I'll probably never hear the end of it. But I really did want to put that out about, you know, that Huff video that I've got up. I'm not going to go on about it. I think I've said my piece. But anyway, thank you so much, everybody, and congratulations, Zara, who is now going by the name of, let me just bring up that, bear with me, where I find, if I can find it. Yeah. Got to try and find it. Here it is, Paranormal White Noise. That is Zara's channel. I like the name, Zara, by the way. That's great. So I'm going to have a look. I'm going to have to go and have a Bo Peep, as they say, at your channel. And those ones that wanted me to have a look at theirs, I'll definitely go and have a look into singing. But I do listen to some. Actually, there was one I came across, and it was a person singing, and I thought, lovely voice. So, I mean, you know, if I think you've got a lovely voice, I will compliment you. But if this video finishes, give it a while to go through its whatever it does, and then put in there that, yeah, have a paper bag ready, Catherine, a brown paper bag. When this stream finishes, if you can put like your channel, I'll click on it and I will go and I'll have a look. Have a look. Gosh, now it's time for me to go. But anyway, I am going before I rattle on and drive everybody stir crazy. So have a great night. It is now, the time here in Sydney is 10:47 p.m. for the digitally educated. So have a great night, and I will see you next Friday, if not sooner. And if you're with me on Facebook, have a look at the High Priestess studio page. There will be a live stream, I assure you, Sunday sometime, probably towards the evening, and that will be to do with the Spirit Box. So might even try an app in there. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, whatever. See ya.